Solomon. The foolish and the wise. King Solomon worked hard to teach his children and people wisdom. But what is wisdom? The dictionary says it is the ability to apply experiences, knowledge and judgments in a sensible and effective way. It is not only accumulating information but knowing how to use it and make fair and prudent decisions. On the first day of creation God said, "Find light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. How do we explain that the sun and the moon were not created until the fourth day? Light, like wisdom, is such a great mystery that physicists and scientists today have not been able to define it or understand how it works. God speaks in the Bible of a greater light than that perceived by our eyes. It is much more than the capacity of human understanding. Wisdom comes to be a glimpse of the light of God. He says, John 1:9, "The true light, which enlightens every man, was coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him." John 12:35-36. Then Jesus said to them, "Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. For he who walks in darkness does not know where he is going. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become children of light." John 12:46. I, the light, have come into the world, that whoever believes in me should not remain in darkness. Solomon defines the purpose of wisdom in a few words, Proverbs 2:1-6. "My son, if you will receive my words, and hide my commandments within you," paying attention to wisdom. "If you incline your heart to understanding, if you call for understanding, and give your voice to understanding, if you seek her as silver, and search for her as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord, and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding." The book of Proverbs basically has two protagonists, foolishness and wisdom. Foolishness and ignorance are not the same. We all make mistakes when we do not know how to do things and we are not corrected. Foolish is the one who, seeing the error, persists in it. Undoubtedly, acting against wisdom brings us harm. Wise is not the one who does not make mistakes, but the one who corrects his error. Proverbs 2:6-15 says, "He, God, provides sound wisdom to the upright. He is a shield to those who walk uprightly. He is the one who guards the paths of justice, and preserves the way of his saints." Then you will understand justice, judgment, and equity, and every good way. When wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasing to your soul, discretion will guard you, and understanding will preserve you, to keep you from the evil way, from men who speak perverse things, who forsake the right ways and walk in the dark paths, who rejoice in doing evil, who rejoice in the perverseness of wickedness, whose paths are crooked and whose ways are twisted. A beautiful exaltation to intelligence. And yet it is not our intelligence or human wisdom that has the capacity to free us from all evil and from the wicked. Solomon says this because he had money, well-being, soldiers who defended him, and he was enthralled by his own intelligence. But in reality those around us are intelligent too, both in doing good and in harming others. And most importantly, who truly wants to free us from all evil and can do it is God. That is why he enlightens us with his commandments and with his teachings. We cannot make intelligence an idol because this is an act of pride against God. Solomon wrote in Proverbs 3:1, "My son, do not forget my law, and let your heart keep my commandments." Here it is God who speaks through the mouth of Solomon. because the law and the commandments that we must obey are those of God. Solomon gives us advice and clarifies the importance of obeying God. Says Proverbs 3:5-7. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord, and depart from evil. A great tragedy of our days is that the media today transmits false, senseless information that can sell, but corrupts customs and deceives thousands of people. Just as Solomon taught for good, many guides today teach for evil. Our Lord Jesus Christ warned us, Matthew 15:14. Leave them alone. They are blind guides of the blind. And if the blind guide the blind, both will fall into the ditch. God is always calling us to his love, tenderly calling our attention. Discovering that I am an object of interest to God himself is as surprising as it is incredible, because I am only a despicable sinner, like Saul of Tarsus. Who is more despicable than a man who was an accomplice to the murder of Stephen? Who did nothing to him, and who, far from harming the Jews, was leading them to salvation? If he had not repented and converted, Saul would have remained in history at the same level as Annas and Caiaphas or Pilate. And Saul, not content to be part of the group of murderers, continued to persecute the early church, until Jesus stopped him. Saul was wise and recognized that Jesus is true, lives and has all the power of the universe. He repented and converted from his sins. He became a new man with a new name, Paul the Preacher. And precisely the strength of his preaching was his testimony that God, despite his great sins, had forgiven him, had transformed him and had accepted him into his flock, into the new people of God. Paul clearly proved to be wise and shared his example with everyone who would listen. I believe that the greatest folly of man is to ignore and reject the love of God.